All right, I'm excited about this. I'm glad to have a front row seat. That's Just Bull, episode number 4 of what hopefully goes into thousands and thousands of podcasts. And I have here a very respected baseball player and coach in Mackey Sasser. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Pretty good. First thing we got to talk about is the Hacker. How did you get that nickname, the Hacker?
I got it early on in my minor league career.
Yep.
Greg Litton actually named me that, ex-big leaguer with the Giants and a few teams. And he called me the Hacker because, anything close, I'd hack at it. So my nickname,
right.
come on, Hacker, call me Mackey Sasser or whatever. And
yep.
The Hacker stuck with me forever.
It's a good attribute to have. I mean, it's better to be a hacker than a guy that takes too many pitches, right? If you're going to try to make the big leagues.
Well, I was always an aggressive hitter, and I saw a pitch I like, I swung at it and did what I had to do, and if it was close, I was ready to hit it, and I hit a lot of pitches that were out of the zone. I mean, a lot of pitchers didn't realize they could get me out just throwing it right down the middle, probably, but because I hit the ball out of the zone, that's what I did. And it made me a successful pinch hitter in my career. But, it was just one of those things. When I went up there, I was ready to hit from pitch one. And, I teach my college kids the same thing, to be aggressive.
Well, let's go into that. Let's talk about college here.
Okay.
So you this last year, you got your 700th college win.
700.
That's a big deal. You got 700 more in you?
No, I don't think I do. But, last year was my 700 win, and, we put together a really good season, and it was probably the best talented team I had. And, they know how to go out on the field, and, it was one of those teams where you let them play and they win ball games for you, pitching staff, through hitters, whatever. And that's probably why 14 of them went to Division I and, are successful at that level this year before it, ended.
When you recruit players, I know you're in Alabama, so Wallace Community College. Are most of your players from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, that area?
Used to be, but we expanded out, probably about 10 years ago. My boss wanted me to stay more local. So we tried that, and then kids started getting in trouble because they were local. They knew where the parties were, they knew everything that was going on. But
right.
Anyway, she told me, she goes, look, just do what you need to do. Just make sure we keep some Alabama boys on the team. So I hired a guy that really helped me be able to expand where I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do. He was really big in travel ball, which, I wasn't big in travel ball. So he really helped me get where I needed to be able to get the players. I got them from Arizona, New York, Canada, wherever I could get them from, South Florida, I got them. And we went for the best players we could get. And a lot of people, you're not going to get that player, but we wind up getting that player. It's the way you recruit and how you recruit yourself in your school. And so when we started getting the players and we finally going to the World Series and everything going on, it finally started working out for us. So they call me now. So it's a good thing. I've got a few years left, and we're building our team this year and look to have a lot of success because of what we got coming in.
What's the easiest way for you? Because I know, not just your school, but any school, even some of these bigger D1s, you don't have massive budgets to travel and look for players. What's the best way to find these guys? How do guys find you?
Well, social media is the thing. And, like I said, I had a coach for the last 6 years. He's been gone now a year and a half. He went on to bigger and better things, which he deserved to be better. And he was just so connected. And another way that I got, I'm married now for 13 years to my wife, but her uncle and aunt introduced me, and he happens to be the coach of Chipola Junior College. They've won the World Series 3 out of the last 10 years, and he has a name for himself, and so we work players together. I work for him, he works for me, and helps me do things, and it's just, we just brother-in-law along and find players, and it's a matter of putting together a good team. It don't always have to be the best player now. The best player can ruin your team. And what I mean by that is it's a team sport. You've played it. You understand it. It's an individual stats, but it's a team sport. So I want good individuals to play on my team and teach them the discipline. And that's what makes my team excel and do what we need to do. Once I can get the discipline part in them and really get them to understand what the game is all about, it's not about just me all the time, then I can coach anybody. And a lot of people's caught on to what I do here. I've always been a really good hitting instructor, and I've always had a really good hitting team. Pitchers are starting to get involved, coming to what I have, because I have pitching coaches that are good pitching coaches and do what we need to do. So the key to winning this league and winning where I'm at to get to the World Series is pitching and defense. So that's what we concentrate on. We also concentrate on hitting, but those two factors can get you anywhere you want to get.
You obviously spent all different portions of 9 seasons in the big leagues. You got to be around the greatest players in the world. When you coach now, do you find the times, you playing in the 80s and 90s versus kids that are playing today, there's a lot of accusations, or not accusations, but entitlement that select ball gives. Maybe these guys don't understand winning because you can lose and you got another game in 10 minutes and it's not that big a deal to them.
That's right.
Do you see that being a difference?
Well, that's the key I'm talking about. They got to want to win for their teammates. And what happens in the travel ball scene and everything you're talking about entitlement is the fact, if you're not starting on one team, your parents or you or whoever can go and pay for another team for you to play on. So they don't understand what a team effort is. It's all about individual. And that's where the mental part is. You got to teach them to be a team sport. And that's what a good coach does. They teach them, you got the tools, just listen to me to get you where you need to be as a teammate. And that's what winning's about. And a lot of kids don't have it today because they can move around wherever they want to and play travel ball for whatever they want to and do what they want to do. And they don't understand the team part of the sport. And, it's all about showcase now. Kids want to showcase their talents. They want to showcase it. I could put on a showcase twice a year and probably make $40,000 if I really wanted to. But I'm robbing those people. You're going to have 10 to 12 of them that can go out and actually play, and the rest of them are just, they wannabes. And I hate to say that. I'm not being mean, but it takes a lot to be able to play at this level. Once you put that uniform on at this level, and then the level, Division I level, and anywhere else, it becomes about the coach or whoever's coaching that team. They see things. They see tendencies about players. They understand how to coach and understand how to get people out and understand what they need to do. And it's not just travel ball, man. See a fastball, hit it, because all the pitchers trying to throw it 100 miles an hour. You just sit there and get on and hit it.
Yeah, that's right.
So
you mentioned social media earlier. If you get your eyes on a player, do you check their social media? Do you go through that and see what kind of people they are and what kind of families they have? We
do go through that stuff. Well, maybe not quite families. That's kind of hard to do. I don't have the funding to be able to do all that. When I taught the kid, I can pretty much – I've always told a lot of people what's made me a good, decent coach at this level. After about 2 weeks of having your son here, I'll know his personality and I know how to coach it. I'll know exactly what I need to do to him to get the best out of it. Because I just sit back and kind of watch and read. I read body language. I read all the things I need to read, and it's worked for me. But the thing about, going out there on social media, a kid can look, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm not going to mention names. I got a kid that come from a far off place this year for me. The gun's showing 93, 94. And he drove a long ways to get here. And when he got here, he never topped out 80 miles an hour. I said, man, I need to know the name of that guy that made that video for you, because he has falsified that thing. You know what I'm saying? So you can't read a video. Mm-hmm. I mean, used to you could trust everybody in coaching. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. But now they're trying to make a living at it. These travel ball coaches, they don't tell you everything you want to hear. Oh, this kid can play, because they want to keep that money coming in. So you have to see them. And, we go to a bunch of tournaments to see the kids and do what we need to do.
We talked the other day about Perfect Game being – they got that huge deal in Georgia every year, and you're not too far from there. You try to get over there and watch that a little bit?
I get to East Cobb and get those places, but, the main one's down in Jupiter every fall. That's where you really see the kids you need to see. And you just got to stay on them and do what you got to do.
Yeah. So, who's the if you can think off the top of your head, best player that you've ever had that didn't go pro, that you thought maybe should have, and you're surprised that he didn't? Can you think of anybody like that?
I would probably have to say a kid by the name of Kevin Steele. He was All-American, and I think he hit 16 home runs and like 60 RBIs at shortstop. He was 90-92 off the mound and never got a chance.
No looks.
No looks, nobody.
Wow.
Used to I could talk to people, and all the older scouts knew me and knew what I said was the truth. I don't lie about it. But the younger guys, I really don't know as much. So, I just had a kid call, or I was playing golf yesterday, and a scout for Boston was asking me about a player that played for me 2 years ago. Is he worthy of the top 5 rounds because that's all we're going to do or whatever? Well, of course he is. I mean, you've seen he jumped from 94 with me to 98. But he has a club foot. He was born with it. So they're worried about it. I said, have you ever watched him get off the mound and do everything what he does? I don't care if he's got a limp or not. I mean, he's the best I ever had at it. So they take my word. They listen to me. So it's just, a lot of kids don't make it. It could be for different reasons and, off-field reasons and that kind of stuff. But there's probably kids that should have went on and had a chance to play.
It ain't easy, is it? Tough game.
It is a tough game. That's why they don't get it.
So do you grow up in Alabama?
I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida.
Oh, you did?
I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, and I moved here my junior year to Alabama.
Now, were you raised in an athletic family? Did your parents, were they big athletes or?
My dad was a basketball player. Didn't much play baseball. My dad was disabled in his older life, but all my uncles played baseball. My grandfather played till he was 56 in old semi-pro league.
Yeah.
And when I needed help when I was with the Mets, he passed away when I was with the Mets towards the end of my Mets career. But he gave me all my advice. He'd sit on one of them big old dish satellites. It was really big. He'd watch every game. And he knew me because he watched me since I was a little boy. I mean, he came to every one of my games.
What's some advice that still resonates with you? Can you remember anything he told you that sticks out?
The main thing he always told me was stay back. Stay back. Your hands are drifting.
Yeah.
You're lunging at the ball, which, we all, when somebody had a good change up, we started getting in the habits.
Yeah.
The key was just getting my hands back.
He'd see you get off balance.
He'd see it all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, and were you a good player as a kid? Right away, did it baseball just come to you?
No, I won the most valuable player every year I played when I was young. I mean, I was hands above or better than a lot of people. I grew up in Tallahassee. Mike Martin actually taught me the fundamentals of the game. I knew, I had the tools, but he actually taught me everything I know because I was always awarded a scholarship to the Mike Martin baseball camp.
So Florida State coach.
Florida State coach. And so I went to that camp every year I grew up, and he taught me how to play. And, he taught me a lot of things. But I could play. I mean, I had.
And did you know at a young age that you wanted to be a pro player? Was that a dream like everybody, like most kids, or?
I mean, I knew I was going to play pro ball.
You knew it.
I left Tallahassee, which Tallahassee had a lot of good athletes in, and they still have athletes coming out of there all the time. And it was either make a decision, stay in a group of people I was hanging out with, or move on. So I moved on, and luckily got picked up by Wallace College and got seen when I needed to be seen, and everything else fell into place for me. But it was a tough decision.
So you played at Wallace?
I played at Wallace 2 years.
And then after that, did you go to another school?
I signed with LSU out of school. I was Skip Burton's very first pick.
Oh, wow.
He was at Miami, got the job there, made the call. I went over and saw Smoke Lavelle, and I was his very first pick. And I was married at the time. I had a young daughter, and I was working at UPS and going to school and playing ball, doing all the things I had to do. So anyway, it was just I needed to go play pro ball. So I made a call to a pro scout, and he said I couldn't go to college because it was back then I went in the winter draft.
Yeah.
It was 120 days I had to sit before I could do anything. So that's what I did.
Wow, man. I was recruited pretty heavily by Skip Burton as well. As a matter of, he's a very good guy, man. I enjoyed the time that I talked to him, and I always try to keep in touch with people. And over the years, I'd reach out to him, and he'd still talk to me like I played for him, and I didn't.
That's right.
He was a really good guy.
That's right.
On two podcasts ago, we had Steve Smith,
Right.
Tennessee Tech, and he talked about he played with you a little bit.
That's right. We played at Fresno.
Yeah, you guys won it all. He said. He started saying,
that was a great year, man.
Well,
We struggled the first half of the year. We struggled a little bit. We couldn't hit. It wasn't our pitching. We just couldn't hit very well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had the talent. We just didn't hit. And then Will Clark and a few guys come along in the draft, and I can remember all those talking about, Will Clark, he's holding out. He ain't going to be able to hit no baseball. Not with no wood bat. First game, he goes oppo in center field with a wood bat. So when he came, things changed. He changed the whole dynamic. He changed the whole team. The way we did and approached the thing. I mean, he was a gamer, go-getter. And I think we walked away with it at the end. I mean, there was nobody could hang with us.
Yeah, Will Clark. I remember. I guess as a high school player, if I idolized a player, I mean that's who it was, man.
Right.
That swing was as sweet as they come, isn't it?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
I talked to him a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and probably I ain't talked to him in 15 years. He's the same guy he was when I talked to him.
Is that right?
The same scout that signed us, and he's not doing well, so we were talking about it and everything. So.
Well, one of my goals is I'm going to get him on here one day. I actually did meet him. I'll tell you. So right. I have a story. I have a Will Clark story. It was 1991. It was my first spring training. I just turned 19. I went out of high school, and I was with the Padres. So we're over in at the time it was Yuma.
That's right.
And the Giants came in town, and man, I said, man, I'm going to go over there and see if I can shake his hand. And they were on a backfield. And I was still in uniform, and he was out in right field shagging balls during BP, and I called his name, and he waved me out. Come on out, and we hung out for about 30 minutes, just shooting the bull, and it was a good guy. So that he won't remember that, but I do. I won't forget it. It was a thrill for me. So.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. When I got to go meet all the Giants back when I signed, I was like shocked. They all hung out with us and did things. Roger Craig did a good job of that. All the big leaguers hung out with the minor leagues and kind of made us all a big family. I think that's where he took off when they started really winning again. So
yeah, I had a guy. I'm supposed to share this with you. A guy told me to say this to you. And I don't know if you're going to recognize who this is. I reached out to a guy. This guy was a hitting coach in the minors with me in the Mets one year, and I was talking to him the other day. I think he's going to do a podcast with me, and I said, look, Mackey Sasser is going to be on Monday. And he says, tell him this. Tell him that his bat is allergic to leather. Do you know who that is?
Is what? My back was allergic to leather?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Andre David wanted me to tell you that.
Oh, really? How's he doing okay?
Yeah, he seems great. I had never seen him on Facebook, and it was odd. I still think that all this computer stuff, they know what we say and do.
Right. I
had asked him about him the other day, and I read an article on him, and 2 days later I get a friend, like a recommendation. So it found him for me. Anyways, I talked to him a little bit through Facebook, and he said, just tell you that and see if that would ring a bell.
I think
So you go through college, you get drafted.
Right.
Now, I saw an article that said you got drafted second round, but it was the fifth round, wasn't it?
Fifth round.
Fifth round by the Giants. And I'm telling you, I looked at some stuff here, and there's a couple things I want to talk about that you got to explain here, man. Your first year in minor leagues, you were 15 of 17 in bags. You stole 15 bags and got caught twice.
I was pretty fast, actually.
I'll say.
And I started catching.
Yeah.
And I kind of slowly went down, and I had some leg injuries, which matter of fact, I did it still on the base, and tore my knee, and then I started catching. After my first year in Clinton, Iowa, I started catching, and I had torn cartilage, torn all kind of stuff, and I just started going down. Didn't steal bases no more.
So did they draft you as a catcher?
They drafted me as a catcher. What happened was they drafted me as a catcher.
Yeah.
Never caught a day in my life.
Wow.
I played shortstop in college, and
I didn't know that.
But they come and watch me. I caught one inning in an all-star game, and they thought I could see pretty. So they called me. They wanted to make me a catcher. They said I was going to be too big. be a shortstop. So I went into Clinton, Iowa, and Jimmy Lefevre was our minor league director. Mm-hmm. And Charlie Hayes, who was one of our sweet babies, 3rd round pick, you know, he's a good player. He went down. I knew I could hit, and I knew if I could just get on the field and be able to hit, I'm gonna find a place to play. And that was my thing, because I went to California, didn't know a soul. That was father's, you know, airplane, flown on an airplane forever, you know, 4 hours. So anyway, I got out there and he got hurt. So I started taking ground balls at third base because I played shortstop. I took started taking ground balls, and then Saudi Parker was our minor league infield director. He started taking me down to the other field and started working with me and really working with me. The next thing you know, I'm going to Clinton. Instead of going to rookie ball, I'm going to Clinton to play third base. So when I got there, I started popping the ball pretty good. And then Charlie came back and they moved me to first base and right field. And so I played right field for a while. I was leading our team in hitting and doing everything I needed to do. And Clinton, I got called up to Fresno for the playoffs. And then I had Wendell Kim, and I stayed with Wendell Kim for the rest of my, you know, minor league career.
Charlie Hayes. Okay. Charlie Hayes probably lives 10 minutes from me.
Does he?
Yeah, I see him every now and then. He does some baseball stuff. He don't do it real often, but his sons do. And his youngest son is, I think, the number 2 prospect with the Pirates right now.
He can play a little bit now. I bet he can come see and play for me. But you know, if you know Charlie, you know how Charlie is. He told me he was selling that house out there.
He might be. I don't talk to him that often. I saw
he told me his boy Hattiesburg.
Okay. His boy Keybrian is my oldest son, and Keybrian are the same age.
Right.
So when they were 10 and 11 and all little select ball, you could see. I saw it the first time I saw Keybrian Hayes at, I don't know, 8, 9 years old.
Right.
You said he's different than everybody else.
That's right.
He's a special talent. So the fact that he's now the number 2 prospect is not a surprise at all.
That's right.
So your second year, you had a good year. You hit around in the 290 range. Your second year, you really put yourself on the map. I think in Fresno, you hit 338.
That's Fresno, right?
Yeah, 338, 14 bombs, and 102 RBIs.
Right. Well, me and Greg Litton hit back to back.
Okay.
Greg Litton had like 114 RBIs, and he hit about 320. But then, you know, you put Will Clark behind us, and it really starts, you know what I'm saying, it's really starting looking good. But what happened was I struggled the first 2 months of that season, if you can just see the stats, and we all struggled. We just couldn't hit. You know, we all knew we could hit, but I think we just put pressure on ourselves, as minor leaguers do. And then all of a sudden it just clicked. And I think I hit at a 400 clip for the last 3 months of the season. Wow. And Greg was right there with me. And we just Wendell just kept rotating us 3 around behind each other. And it just took off. I mean, we were scoring. We were averaging 9 runs a game in Fresno. Then we had Jeff Brantley and, you know, and Steve. And we had all kind of good pitching all of a sudden. So it all worked out.
Yeah.
It really, that's the year it really took off for me. You know, when I was back in Clinton, I caught 1 game, and I forgot to tell you a story. The manager, one of our catchers, goes down, and I go in there and I said, "Listen, man, I can catch if you need me to catch." "Oh, you can catch too?" I said, "Well, hell, you signed me as a catcher." Yeah. So the next day, I had a mitt in my locker, and a set of catch whip. Told me to go down and catch for a couple of weeks in the bullpen. So I caught 1 game. It was 1 game in front of the brass. I threw out a guy, and I caught George Ferran, which threw a 2-hitter. And from that time on, I was catching every time. Timmy Blackwell was with me the whole time. He would travel everywhere I went, anytime on the road, and me and him would work on the side at all times. The old catcher, you know, Timmy Blackwell. So yeah. That's how I learned how to catch. He taught me everything I needed to know.
So around that's when you really started making it an everyday gig.
Everyday gig.
Yeah. So next year, you're in Double-A, you hit 293. To me, and maybe I didn't play in the big leagues, and so maybe you can refute this. I thought, and I've heard other people say, that the biggest jump in pro ball was A-ball to Double-A.
That's right.
You know, you start seeing the young men to real. It's a different in the strength, You start seeing a difference in the men in the game.
That's right. That's right. Well, you got just as good as AA and AAA. You got just as good as players. They're just a little younger usually. Because then AAA was more of your veteran players, just waiting to get back in the big leagues or whatever. But a lot of guys, like when I was with Seattle, that's all. When Luke Piniella was there, he took every pitcher out of AA. He never took them for AAA. He was always bringing them up from AA. Wow. And we had Alan Cockrell in AA. We had Litton. We had Charlie Hay. We had all those guys. But we played at Shreveport, brand new field right on the freeway. It was one of the biggest fields you ever seen in your life, and all of our hitting suffered because the wind was coming straight in off the freeway.
Right.
You don't see that, and people don't understand that. But things suffer. You go right back into Phoenix, and you're hitting bombs and doing everything because the air is light. So, but the AA pitching to me was just as good as AAA pitching, and I always felt that because you had strong arms. And they were just learning really how to do what to do with the ball at that time.
I remember when I got up to AA with the Mets, we're in Binghamton, and it was I think the third or fourth game this season, and it's our season opener, and they were throwing Jason Isringhausen. He was a starter at the time.
Right.
He was our pitcher, and he threw 7 innings, and I think he finished with 15 strikeouts.
Right.
And so we're all like, no, we don't want to go in. We can't follow this guy, man. And I think I was the first guy in the 8th, and somebody else got the 9th. And I think we ended up with 19 strikeouts. But all of us were begging not to go in. We're like, how do you follow this guy?
That's right.
Because he didn't just look big league ready in AA. He looked big league all-star ready.
That's right. Okay.
He was dominating those guys, and so he didn't look like he was going to be there very long, and he wasn't. So now we get down to where you're with the Mets, right? You're done with the minor league days. Gary Carter goes down.
Right.
And that's where you get your real shot. Is that right?
Well, not really. I mean,
okay.
When I got called, I was with the Pirates in spring training in '88, and Mike Diaz, Rambo, he went down our first baseman, and we had to have a first baseman. I wasn't an everyday player. I was a backup to LaValia, backup maybe the outfield, and we traded for Randy Milligan. Remember the prospect? You probably knew.
Yep.
And I'll never forget it because my wife was in labor at that time. It was the last week of spring training. I had to stay over there with her. It was one of those long labor situations. So I was supposed to show up on one day. I didn't get there. And then the next day I show up about 6 in the morning. They picked me up at the airport. And I'll never forget it. David Johnson says, "Hey, where you been?" I said, "Oh, man, my wife just had the baby. I hadn't had no sleep or nothing." He goes, "We're on the trip today. You're starting against Baltimore." So we drive down to Miami. I play 4 innings. I think I threw out somebody. I think it might have been Ky Rickman Jr. I'm pretty sure it was. And then I successfully had a hit and run. And I walked over and he shook my hand and said, "Congratulations, you made my team. Go get on the bus and go to sleep." That's what I did. But the Mets was a great thing. But Gary Carter was a great teacher for me. I mean, I'd been being taught a lot of things. And as a catcher, you learn as you go a lot because you're learning the pitchers, you're learning what they throw, you learn all kinds of things about how to call games. And it's one of those kind of things you have to learn as you're playing in every game. You're learning something new all the time. Mm-hmm. But Gary, you could watch Gary, and Gary was a really good catcher. And, he went in 1990, he left and went with I think it was the Giants, was it? So it was me and Barry Lyons. And Todd Hundley had got a little shot of it. And then when Davey Johnson got let go, Buddy Harrelson called me to the front of the plane and says, "Listen, get your rest. You're going to play every day." And so that's when I started playing every day in 1990 with him.
Yeah, to follow, you said Gary Carter, and for anybody who might be watching who don't know who Gary Carter is, yeah, he was darn good. I didn't put in front of me how many years he made the All-Star team, but with the Expos and then the Mets,
right.
I mean, he was better than good. He was great.
He was one of the best blockers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, his knees told on him too, but I'm telling you, he could frame a ball or block it, do everything he needed to do. And I didn't really watch him when he was in his younger career. I was playing minor league ball too, so he was with Montreal, so I really didn't see him. But I love to see him really in his prime days because he was a hell of a ball player.
Oh man, he was good.
Really.
I just remember, I live in Houston, and before, I was in high school during that infamous '86 series with the Astros and Mets.
That's right.
And so I didn't like him much then because I was an Astros fan, but it didn't take away how good he was. I can tell you that. So there's a saying I remember somebody saying, the hardest part isn't getting to the big leagues. The hardest part is staying in the big leagues, right?
That's right. Yes.
Now, that doesn't take away anything from getting to the big leagues. That's no easy task. But I asked somebody what that meant one time, and the way they explained it to me was getting around these other players, guys that you'd seen on TV. And I give a story in '95. Every now and then, if you're in minor league camp, but they'll pull you over for a big league game if they need some extra arms.
That's right.
And I had gone over there a few games for that. And I just remember sitting across from Eddie Murray.
Right.
And, I think I had his baseball card when I was 7.
Right.
And he's still doing it,
Exactly.
And so I'm tying my shoes with my head up. I almost can't take my eyes off the guy. Steady Eddie. But when you got there, were you –
Pete Rose, the only one that did that to me.
You were a little bit shocked by Pete Rose.
I was like amazed. I was sitting there playing with probably the greatest player ever played a game. Then you had Mike Smith playing third when we were hitting. It was amazing. I mean, those guys were at the end of their career. Just like you're talking about Eddie Murray. I mean, I sat by him, talked to him, still talked to him on the phone, caught his 400 ball in the pen he gave to him. They were all older men. So I itemized all those guys. I mean,
right.
It's, George Brett over there still pinch hitting some. So, Reggie Jackson playing right field. So, yes, I mean, those are guys I watched forever, and their careers lasted forever. So I'm getting
they did. They did.
Big league, staying in the big leagues. I mean, I always made myself feel like I was that 24th or 25th guy on that roster. And I always wanted to feel like that so I'd work harder to get what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Because really I was. If I was a backup or a pinch hitter, I know in my mind I might do what I do well, but now my money's starting to get higher. So they can find somebody in the minor leagues and do, just exactly what I do and save money. So I'm always pushing myself to be the best I could have been. But that's the way I try to look at it. I always look as I'm that last 2 guys on that roster. So I could go at any time. And
that's right.
It kind of pushed me.
Yeah. A couple years ago, there's a big tournament. I don't know if you even heard of this, but I think when my son was 12 4 years ago, and we went to Cooperstown. They got this big baseball tournament every year.
They're having it, yes.
And it's a lot of fun. And we had gone down there right around the Hall of Fame ceremony time, so it was kind of crowded. And it was my first trip to Cooperstown, and we go in this little memorabilia shop, and Pete Rose is there.
Right.
And so I wanted my boys to meet him, and I said, hey, man, this guy, I was telling him, this guy gets after it. I'll show him some video, Charlie Hustle, right?
Right.
And when you earn a nickname like Charlie Hustle, you got to be good. And so he didn't seem like he was in the best of moods that day. But I told him that I had played against his son, and he lit up. Right. He's real proud of his boy, of course.
That's right.
And he said, "Oh, you played against him?" I said, "Yeah." And every year, Pete Rose Jr.'s numbers in the minors, they weren't astronomical, but against us, when I was with the Padres, I mean, he had to hit 600 against us. He looked like Pete Rose, senior, when he played us. I told him, he said, "What position did you play?" And I said, "Well, I was a third baseman for 3 years, and then I pitched for 4. And he said, "You pitched?" And I said, "Yeah." So he took the ball. I had him sign a ball for me. And on the side of it, he wrote, "I'd hit you too." And so I got that ball still. So it's got Pete Rose in the sweet spot. And on the side, he wrote, "I'd hit you too."
I'd hit you too.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's probably true. You probably could still hit.
I wouldn't bet against it. Well, so you swung the bat good, especially for catchers. People don't know that most catchers have, it's kind of this stigma that you don't really have to be a great hitter to get to the big leagues,
That's
but
right.
you got to be a great catcher.
That's right.
And so if you can be a great catcher and swing the bat good, man, you can make some money.
Yeah, I love it.
And so who was in your mind, who was the toughest pitcher that you faced, whether it was minor or majors? Who was the guy that you said, man, this is going to be a tough day?
I hit a lot of the good ones because I was aggressive, like the Maddoxes and the Smoltz and all those type of people. Burt with Montreal got me out consistently. Rob Dibble, I did nothing with him. I think I had 8 at bats, struck out 7 times, and I don't strike out very often.
Yeah.
He'd throw the fastball with that wind up. And, you're trying to look at the wind up and how it's getting there and do it, and you get foul it off. You're like, man, I missed it. Next thing you know, you get a split finger and you're done. But probably Dibble, North Charlton, really, I struggled with him, and I actually hit against him a lot. Believe it or not. A lot of like Davey, he liked putting lefties in against the lefties sometimes because he said they're easier to hit. They can't pitch the lefties. So he was one of those type of guys that did a lot of things unorthodox, but he got, I got hits off of him, but he was tough. But I didn't know he was throwing a spitball.
But you never swung from the right side, did you?
No, never. I always swung from the left side.
Yeah.
And I was more of a middles guy. I went gap to gap.
Yeah.
I was always that way, and that's what I worked on every single day. I mean, the balls I pulled, I don't guess, but I got on it early and got them out of the park. But mostly I was a doubles guy. That's where I
So you felt like when you faced guys like Maddox, you could put together pretty good at bats on them.
Well, I got him early.
Yeah.
I had success off of him.
Yeah.
I hit him pretty good. But, you got to get him early because once he gets ahead of you, you're done pretty much because he can work you and nibble at you and do whatever. John Smoltz and all those guys, I hit them pretty smooth, pretty easy.
I remember the minor leagues facing Andy Pettit.
Right.
We came up in the same years, and I'd have 4 at bats against him, and somebody would ask me, how's his stuff? And I'm like, I don't think it's electric. How'd you do? Well, I was 0 for 4, but I didn't hit him either.
Exactly. I didn't hit him either.
Yeah.
Give you a good comfortable over.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I could see all his pitches well,
Right.
He had a nice changeup, but I'd hit a little flare to right, a little ground ball. He knew how to get guys out, man. I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking I could hit him, and I wasn't thinking I could really hit him though.
That's right.
How about the toughest guy to catch?
Dave Cohn. Don't even have to say it.
Tough to catch.
Tough.
Why is that?
Well, Dave Cohn, early in his year, phenomenal pitcher. I mean, unbelievable strikeout king. He loved to strike people out, and that was his motto. I'm going to shove it up your you-know-what, and I'm coming to pitch it. And David Cohn, I still talk about David Cohn today because I caught David a lot.
Yeah.
He had the slider from the side. He had the fastball from the side, and he would go over the top, and he would just make you look like an idiot. And he bounced balls. He bounced fastballs. He bounced sliders. He bounced everything. And you had to be able to block it. He'd beat you up. I mean, really, literally. I mean, I had whelps on my legs after one game, 4 or 5 whelps, just from the fastball that, he'd be slow with because he'd always concentrate on pitching low. Mm-hmm. But Dave Cohn was the toughest guy I caught, but the easiest guy. He was the funnest guy because I saw guys call in sick. I always say they called in sick during their trainer's table because Dave Cohn was pitching. Jack Clark, St. Louis, the whole team runs out of the dugout because he's went in there and broke the toilet and flooded it, the whole dugout, because he's 0 for, 0 for 4,
right.
4 sombrero or whatever you call it, golden sombrero, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, he was just a strikeout guy, but he was the toughest because he beat you up. I mean, he was coming. I mean, he wouldn't let you know when he'd drop down and throw that 2-seamer and put something on it or whatever he did, he'd break your thumb. I mean, it was really good stuff. I just saw an article here where he was talking about baseball. And I think it was in the New York Post. The way they clock pitches now. They clocked him at 91 to 93, 94. In today's time, not the same radar gun, but how to do it now. He'd be up, throwing 96, 98. So he threw the ball hard, and it had a lot of sink on it. And he would never let you know when he was going to throw a sinker either. So
you call fastball, and he decided it was going to be 2 or 4 seams.
I don't even think he knew what he was doing sometimes. He always said I didn't know what I was doing. You never know what to do. You have to be on your toes all the time. He was tough to call. You know, Randy Johnson always said, well, Randy Johnson be tough. I said, no, he just closed your mitt for you because he can hit spots.
Right.
He hits spots. I mean, it just shuts for you. Just get it there.
Yeah.
So, but he was probably the toughest guy I've caught. I mean, minor league.
Would you say he's the best that you've caught as well, or just the toughest? I mean, obviously he's great.
I can't see. He was a great pitcher, but you know, I caught Dwight Gooden, Randy Johnson, Jeff Brantley, most of his minor league career. I caught a lot of guys, Drayback. So I've caught a lot of people that can pitch. Yeah. I learned a lot of things from each, person, how they pitch. So, but he was one of the best. Dwight Gooden was the best guy, probably. He was easy.
Dwight Gooden.
He was the easiest. I mean, he could just dominate a game. When I first got there in '88, he could dominate.
So how about a guy? This is good because I people have asked me this before, and I think it depends on your relationship with the pitcher. You're catching Doc Gooden, Dr. K.
Right.
And you give a sign. How often does a guy like that follow your lead, or is it his show and you're giving suggestions and just trying to get on the same page with him?
It's always their show. We're just giving suggestions. But once you catch those guys, you pretty much know what their go-to stuff is.
Yeah.
Dwight could throw that 3-2 breaking ball at any time for a strike. And I'm not talking about just a floater. It's a biter. And what I'm saying? So he could throw it any time for a strike. You take Sid Fernandez, which I caught off a lot. Great fastball, riser, curveball. If he ever threw his curveball for a ball, double it up because the second one's going to be a strike always. I mean, I'm talking about 99.9% of the time. Double it up. It's a strike. So you had to get to know the guys. You knew Cone was going to be a strikeout pitch. He was going to hard pound them in. It may be one pitch, it may be two, and then the slider's coming from under there. And it was no easy pitch to hit. And you just had to get to know them. Sure, they shook me off. That's what their job is. I mean, I'm just making suggestions. And, you called your own game. We had all the charts. We had everything we needed to know. Who could beat you, who couldn't at the time, who was cold, who was hot, who not to pitch to, who was, the usual charts. So we studied them together and understood it. And we went up, whatever's the best pitch. You never try to fool the fastball pitcher with a fastball. And always go down and away when you're not sure. That's
my youngest son is a sophomore in high school. He's a catcher.
Right.
He's a good little receiver. And I had taught him what I knew before, and I see catchers have different philosophies today. So let's say you're setting up down the middle.
Right.
And the pitcher throws a fastball that it's a two-seam and goes inside here. Would you teach that they should keep the thumb here inside, or would you rotate it? You would turn it.
I'm turning it. Well, I teach my catchers palm up.
Okay.
And it's hard to just sit there with your palm up. So you as a pitcher, you used to be a pitcher. You didn't sit there and just stare at that catcher all the time. When you started, you kind of gather yourself, do what you had to do, lock in to where you need to lock in your target. Yeah. That's what I teach my pitchers to do. I don't want to be locked in all the time. Take a breath, do what you got to do. So I teach my kids to have the elbow relaxed on the knee. You can't quite see me. With the glove up, straight up with the hand up, this way.
Yep.
And all you do is relax it and bring it back this way because you can go that way easy. It's always easy to do this. But this is a tough one because every catcher wants to do this and drive that elbow. It drives me crazy because that one they miss keeps going off the glove. You can catch it if you got your hand up and just as a pitch is coming, just slowly turn your hand that way and it's there always. Yeah. It takes work though. Yeah. Tim Blackwell used to just make me do push-ups, run to get me to do that. But it's a natural thing now. It's just nice and easy. Your mitt, you got a bigger mitt, a bigger target. And so the target here is there. And that's what I teach.
Did you play for Tim Blackwell?
No, he was just in our minor league organization as a catching instructor.
Yeah.
That was his project. I mean, he went everywhere I went, and we worked. I had to catch these games too, 9-inning games. And we're in the Texas League now. I mean, it was hot, but he worked, and I appreciate everything he done for me. I mean, he taught me a lot.
When I got traded from the Padres to the Mets.
Right.
I was traded as a third baseman, and my first manager with the Mets was Tim Blackwell.
Yes. I love him.
Oh man, that guy was a great players manager.
That's right.
Because he wanted you to work hard, but when they said play ball, he let you be a player.
That's right.
He got out of the way and let you play.
That's
and
exactly.
I like him, man. I like him a lot.
He treated me very well with respect, and I treat him the same way.
I wonder if he's in the game. Do you know if he's in the game?
I hadn't even looked him up. I couldn't even tell you. I really haven't.
I'd love to talk to him one day too. I liked him a lot. So we talked about the best guys you've ever caught. Who would you say was your greatest? Maybe not the greatest, but who comes to mind quickly when you say a great teammate?
David Magadan.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we were really close. We're still close.
Is that right?
Yes.
What made him a great teammate?
He was just a good person. I mean, he had a good personality. He could get along with anybody, and he would leave everything in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? He was that kind of guy, and everybody liked him. He was very smart. That's why he's a good hitting coach. What he does, he understood the game. You can ask him anything about hitting then, as you could ask him now, and he's 30 years older, and it's probably the same stuff because he already knew it. How did you take that 3-1 pitch? I mean, that was a fastball. It looked like right down the middle. He goes about an inch off the plate. I know he's got to come back to the same. That kind of stuff. I mean,
you're right.
we hung out together.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of things together. It was me, him, and Kevin Elster and a few guys, and everybody had their cliques. But I got to say that Ken Griffey Jr. was a good roommate. I mean, a good teammate. When I was with Seattle for that year and a half, I was right next to him, his locker, him and Jay Buhner. I was right in the middle of them. Mm-hmm. And they were like best friends. And they've somehow put me in the middle of them. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because I got the Ken Griffey Jr. side with 5 lockers and a fold-back electric chair with a phone. And I got Bruno over here bitching and complaining about it the whole time. He was sitting there watching him do it. So we became pretty good friends. We still talk to this day. We had a good time.
Did that Griffey Jr., did he turn out to be a pretty good player? Or?
I think he turned out to be probably the best player I played with besides Bonds. I mean, Bonds was a phenomenal player. But Ken Griffey Jr. had the best plate coverage of any guy I ever saw. When we came back from the All-Star break, and what was it, in 92? No, it's 93 year season. We come back from the All-Star break. We've been struggling, I think it might be lose second year maybe. We're struggling. We hadn't played well. We're trying to build a team. That's when I was telling you that he brought all the kids up from Double-A, all the pitching. He's bringing all his pitchers from Double-A. He's wanting to learn quick because he knew he had stuff down there, and he wanted to get them up and do what they had to do. And we had a decent team, but we come back, and I finally hit my first American League home run off of Perez with the Yankees. We're playing at Yankee Stadium. And next thing you know, Griffey hits 8 in a row, eight games in a row. I mean, when I say foul pole to foul pole, it was just launching them. And it was one of the prettiest things I've ever seen. And along with all the home runs he was hitting, he was just double, whack, whack, whack. And it was unbelievable. But he would always tell his parents on Mother's Day and Father's Day, he said, I'm going to hit a home run for you today. And I'll be damned if he didn't do it. I mean, upper tank some of them.
Right.
But he was that kind of player. He was just special. And I always said he was going to be the one to break the home run records. And, the turf we played on out there was like playing on concrete. I mean, I didn't play on it but a year and a half, and it about tore my legs to pieces. So he played on that, jumped on it, ran on it, hit the wall, did everything he did. And I think when he got to that grass in Cincinnati, it took a toll on his legs. And I think that's really shortened his career. To me.
When you were out there in Seattle, was A-Rod still there?
A-Rod was just fixing to sign. He signed in 93. Remember, he come out and took BP with us, and he was launching like it was nothing to. He was an 18-year-old kid. But you knew he was going to be special. But I didn't get a chance to play with him, no.
Okay.
Because he signed that June or whatever, June when we were playing that year. But you knew he was going to be special.
Yeah, of course.
Like Will Clark. You knew Will Clark was going to be special.
Yeah.
I
think that you and I would know this, and guys that played, if you're in pro ball, you're pretty good. If you're in the big leagues, you're real good. And then there's the guys like the Barry Bonds where it's beyond good. It's just different. It's just different. Yeah. Yeah. When I saw Buck Showalter walk Barry Bonds with the bases loaded,
that told us.
I said, man, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And it worked out. It was the right decision, I think. Bases loaded, he's up 2.
I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. Somebody was talking about if you were in the 9th inning with 2 out, would you rather have Bonds or Trout up there? And I wanted to put on, I would rather have Trout because they're going to walk Bonds.
Yeah.
They always walked him, intended to walk him.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I think
just a phenomenal play. I mean, man, when I saw him, when I played with him with the Pirates, you could tell he was just, I mean, unbelievable, man. I mean, he could whack it. He was a little skinny thing, but, it is what it is, but he could play. He could turn around a 95-mile-an-hour fastball almost at his head and spin it into first base dugout. I mean, that's how his hands work.
Us going through this coronavirus deal, I was, sometimes at night I'm watching YouTube videos because there's no sports at all on. And the other night, it was I guess one of a classic at bat against what's the Dodgers closer, the guy with the goggles.
What was
what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name either. That was incredible.
It was Barry. Was it
who's
Bonds? Was it Bonds hitting against him?
Yeah, it was like the best closer in the game, best hitter in the game. They were going at it.
I know who you're talking about. It's right on the tip of my tongue. It'll come out in a minute.
I know it. Me too. Obviously I know it's not Greinke, but I think it's something like that, like a Zach Greinke type name.
Not Zurich, no.
He played hockey as well. He was a good hockey player. Let me see how I'm looking him up right now. Dodgers closer. What year would that be?
It had to be in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm going to say 98. Maybe 95. Yeah, he was a real deal. Anyway, I can't think of that name. Hopefully it'll pop up here. Right now, there's people watching it and they're screaming the name at us. Of course, I'm missing every year. I can't find him either. We'll get it here.
I'll tell you another one could hit with him with Darryl Strawberry. He just kind of messed up his life a little bit, but he could hit.
Oh man, that guy! It looked like
it was amazing.
It looked like he could just kind of bring his hands through and hit a ball 450 feet, and it didn't even look like he was going max effort.
When I was with him, everybody tried to pitch him up and away, and when he had, most left-handers could drop hit and just that's where they hit it. That was Howard Johnson, but Strawberry hit that pitch up and away as quick out of left field as you ever seen. But I watched him hit one out of Montreal Stadium one night. It went completely out of that stadium, right in the corner. We couldn't find out where the ball went down. It was gone. They had the top just barely pulled up, hit it out.
And he had that. He's got that. The body that he had, that long muscle.
That's right.
What everybody else wanted. That's what you want to look like.
Yeah, he couldn't let him get extended.
Right. That's right. Eric Gagne.
That's right.
Gagne.
Dang, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. Kind of close to Greinke. I was in the ballpark. So let's get to, if somebody goes in and looks up Mackey Sasser, you know this better than anybody. What do they find? What are they going to find in Google?
Find somewhere to go for inside the zone or something like that for the yips.
For the yips. And so I did a little homework. I looked up the yips, and I don't know. My guess is that you probably know way more about the yips than me. But let me explain to anybody that's watching. So yips, I saw it go all the way back to almost 100 years ago.
Right.
And it came up in golf. They were talking about in golf, guys who get the yips when they putt.
Right.
And it was something neurological, something psychological that would make them kind of repeat. It was that putt's supposed to be nice and smooth. and somehow they would kind of chop it up, and it would screw their putt up.
That's right.
Well, that came into baseball, and so there's multiple guys. You were really the first one, though, that I even saw it listed as the Sasser syndrome.
That's right.
And I don't know if they've officially named it that. Have they?
No, I hope not. They probably have, though. Bill Glass, back in those days, he had it as a pitcher.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pitchers that had it. There's a lot of catchers that had it, too. You know, Dale Murphy was a catcher, and he had to move.
Did he? Is that why?
And then,
is that one of the reasons?
Yeah, and then what was the catcher? It was a catcher for San Francisco in the mid-'80s. Black guy. Dadgum, I can't remember. I can't remember his name now. He had to move and play outfield. Couldn't catch it. But it's a crazy thing, man. That's all I can tell you.
So they would explain it as some of the bigger names that we know Chuck Knobloch. He got some sort of case of it. Steve Sachs, Rick Ankiel.
That's right.
Rick Ankiel's story was I think he was minor league pitcher of the year in their organization.
Right.
And then it's almost like overnight he just couldn't throw a strike anymore.
Well, the 76ers called me, want me to talk to one of their players. Would never really give me his name, and I think it was, is it Burke? Their number one pick, was it Burke? Got where he couldn't even shoot a ball. He was double clutching, couldn't do anything right. So it happens in everything. He could be an attorney stuttering in court. It could be anything. It's just something clicks.
They got a guy. I was watching the video today. I was doing just some research on it, and there's a guy he's a good NBA basketball player. His name is I think Joakim Noah.
Right, that's right.
And good rebounder. He's good in the paint, but his free throws, I mean, he wouldn't just miss it here. He'd be off to the left by 3-4 feet.
Right.
You're like, and to somebody who doesn't have that, to somebody who can't. I was telling you the other day when we were talking about it, guys who don't have it, we just can't relate to it. It doesn't make any sense.
I couldn't relate to it. I mean, here I started catching full time in Double-A at Shreveport.
Yeah.
I'd call a little bit in Fresno, but I played outfield. We had a guy named Johnny Grimes, who was a really good catcher from University of Texas. I played outfield, caught here and there, get myself ready. But I became a full-time catcher, made the all-star team. On my way, I become the number 2 prospect. Everything going on. I get to AAA, and I'm playing in Calgary. And it was really cold. It was like freezing playing in Calgary early in the season. I took that foul ball right off my shoulder. And from that point on, I couldn't ever get out of it. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, it just that quick, my whole career changed. So it could happen to anybody. Mark Lemke always said that Cox always used to say, man, we're all one throw away from that. And it's probably true. I know Howard Johnson had a problem. I'm not saying he had the yips. But if you ever look at any game that Howard Johnson played in, he always played in the same spot. Because if he was back, he overthrew it. If he was early, he overthrew it. If he was in, he made some throws on the run, but he played in the same spot for a reason. Darren Dalton, you ever watch him throw back the pitcher?
I remember that.
He had a little bit of it, but he got through it. And I got to myself where he was until I got ran over by Jim Presley in Atlanta in the All-Star game. I mean, right before the All-Star break in 1990. He did some damage to me. And I didn't really figure it all out. I left the game. I could have went back and played and done some things. Probably had to go tomorrow a little bit, but I could have hit my way back to the big leagues. But I was so overwhelmed by this, the pressure, everything. I was ready to walk away from the game. So what I did, I walked away. I stayed away for a year. Thought I was going to possibly get back into pro coaching, and then I got a college job, and that's where I've stayed. But in 2005, a good friend of mine with Major League Baseball called me. You might remember Howard Smith. Do you know Howard Smith? He used to be.
No, I don't.
Used to be a shoe rep, but then he got high up in Major League Baseball. But anyway, he called me and said, hey, I got some guys I want you to meet. They want to talk to you and do some stuff. And they had trauma guys. They'd worked with a lot of trauma. Katrina, they worked with all kind of kids. They worked with everybody. So they got me in New York, and they started doing their stuff. And for once, after working with someone for about 30 people, priests, psychiatrists, psychologists, anything you can put on psychology, anything. They worked with me. I was comfortable, but I wasn't comfortable. I've been put under trying to hypnotize me. But the one things this group did, they want to know about the person, Mackey Sasser, not the fix, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they got to know me personally, all my history. We went over, 3 hours of this history from when I was a little boy, any trauma I had, anything I had. And that's where they started with me, working on my trauma. Because I'd had such an overload. When that ball hit me, there's only a certain part of the brain that deals with trauma. And when it gets overloaded, that's what sets this kind of stuff off. And so what they did, they broke it down, they worked it. I cried. I had all kinds of things going on.
Yeah.
So they actually broke me. And it was one of the best feelings I ever had, because I always felt like I carried around this elephant on my shoulder when it came to baseball. And I wanted to always get back and play again just so I could do it. But I was too old and I don't have the opportunity now. But they pretty much, got me where I could throw batting practice, got me to thinking, just relax. It's just a game. Got me back to where I needed to be. Let's just put it that way. I took that off of me.
So, and for people who don't know, your yips were, you throwing to second or third on the guy stealing, no problems. You could let it rip.
No, sir. Yes. No.
It was just throwing back to the pitcher. You'd have this hesitation where you pat,
That's right.
And
but I didn't pat. I started patting when I got to New York. It really got bad. The patting started bad when I got ran over, from Jim Presley. Because my ankle was so taped up, I couldn't even sit down on my knees anyway. Because I was so hot that year. That was my best year in the major leagues.
Yeah.
And they would let me play, and my ankle would be almost three-quarters of an inch thick with tape. So I had to sit there and throw it. And then I just got in a bad habit of falling back and doing it. It just got worse and worse and worse. And then once the crowd got a hold of it, 1, 2, 3, this and this and that, it bugs you as a man, I can tell you.
Well, yeah, for sure. It got to the point where, they did ESPN 30 for 30.
That's
and
right.
I think I asked you and you confirmed it. I don't know if it was Major League 2 or Major League 3, the comedy movie about baseball.
That's right.
They had a catcher who couldn't throw it back, and they kind of based it off your experience, right?
Well, yeah. I told them, I said, all the guys I talked to said, you got to find something to make you relax. Is it a girl or a naked woman or whatever can make you relax when you're throwing that ball back to play? Think about it. If it's, anything. And I told them, I didn't know they were going to start putting posters up. But they were like, really interested in that because they made a big thing about it in that movie. And that kid played that part. I was a little smarter than he was. But they come and talk to us for like 2 hours sitting there eating crabs in the locker room. So it was pretty neat. But
did you get to meet that actor? Did he talk to you?
I met every one of them. Yes. They were all in that whole game. Charlie Sheen was the one that wasn't there. So, I get emails all the time from kids and, college kids on down to 10, 11-year-olds, softball, baseball with the yips. And for the younger kids, I always try to say, hey, man, maybe you can work yourself out of it. Just leave it alone. Don't make no big deal about it because that's going to make it worse. And college kids, I always send to the guys that I did the 30-30 with. And they have a lot of success with some of these younger kids, but you got to get to it early. Once it gets so bad, there's no way to fix it. And but it is what it is. I had a good career. A lot of people said I would never make it, and I made it. And so,
yeah, you did.
And I got a great life now, so it don't bother me.
Well, do you? I had a friend ask me today. He knows a lot about baseball. He played some college ball, and I was telling him I was going to talk to you, and he's looking at your numbers, and he said, I'm surprised that when someone didn't take a chance on you in the American League.
That's right.
Where you could do more DHing.
Seattle did. And I did first year. Dave Valley was a catcher. And, my first year in Seattle, well, they took a chance, and I'm not going to blame on anything, but Kevin Reimer ran me over. I caught the second game of spring training. He ran me over and broke my scapula. And so 2 months with no spring training, the whole 9 yards. After that, my hitting never really panned out like it used to. I just didn't hit like I used to hit. I don't know if it just mental. I don't know what happened, but I never could get my hitting back. So
do you now you're on the other side of this. I miss the days. Now I was never a catcher and got ripped up by a runner. But I miss the days where you could take a catcher out or break up the double play.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn my light off.
Yeah.
Yes, I miss those days too. So it's I think they take a lot away from the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you should be able to hit a catcher still today if he's on that plate. But like Jim Presley hit me out in front of the plate, and he had the whole plate to slide. He crunched me. You can go back and look at it. I think it's on like some of the. You could Google it. I think it was August, one of the worst run overs. I got ran over. It hurt. But anyway, but yeah, taking out a guy at second, I think that's the biggest rules. One of the best things you could do, because I used to love it.
Me too.
And so it is what it is.
Yeah, I miss those days. I think, I'm all for, I don't want people to get hurt. But I sure like baseball is a little bit more physical.
That's right.
I looked at, when I saw your story, and you said, what about, you said they had a priest.
Yeah.
What did the priest do with you?
Hypnotized me. He tried. I don't think I ever really went under, but he got.
Why a priest? They didn't think were they worried?
It was one of the doctors with the Mets, good friend. And so I'd go over there and listen to him lay on his couch, and he'd tell me all kind of things and relax me and do whatever. Dr. Allen, Dr. Lance.
Yeah. I know him.
But he was a great guy. He just didn't. He wasn't helping me.
Yeah.
And then I had guys try put an orange dot in the second and shortstop's glove to throw that dot when they open their glove up. Just all kind of crazy things.
At one point, were you throwing to a shortstop?
Do I now?
To get it to the pitcher? Did you ever throw it to another guy to get it to the pitcher?
No, I never did that.
You never did that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe is it the kid for the Rangers? Not a kid, but the guy for the Rangers, the other catcher who had a very similar issue.
I don't know who that was. It was somebody.
The catcher who's up in the big leagues, AAA, for the Texas Rangers. I think he had. It's not Saltamachia.
That's right.
Name like that?
That's right. Sakamachia or Sokamachia.
Yeah.
I never did that. I made jokes of it. I offered the umpire, hey, man, you throw this ball back every time. I'll pay you. I had friends calling me from home here. He passed away not long ago. But anyway, he called me. He said, man, I know how to fix your problem. I said, what's that? He says, well, there's two things. Either I can stand beside you, you pay me $75,000 a year, and I'll throw it back for you. Or I'll get a dog collar, and I'll sit in the dugout, and every time you get ready to throw it, I'll shock you and hit it.
Yeah.
That might have worked. You know what I'm saying? Think about
it. Did you ever have an umpire, say, hey, man, just relax. You got it. Did you ever have anybody encourage you?
Yeah, they all did.
Yeah.
Pagnozzi with St. Louis says, come on, man, just throw the damn ball back. Well, it wasn't as easy as they wanted. So I had to pull it for them. And I think my teammates were all pulling for it because I could hit. They wanted my bat in the lineup. Brett Sayre and all them guys, they wanted me in there playing. But then, it got to the point where I was disrupting their rhythm, their game, and I don't blame them for not wanting me to catch. So, it is what it is. I don't want to disrupt what they're doing because we're trying to win ball games. And it got to the point sometimes I'd clutch 3 or 4 or 5 times to get it back. I'd walk halfway out there and throw it back. So
you mentioned where, if the fans start getting on you, and at one point, and I think you'd mentioned maybe a coach or manager who maybe want to implement a fine system.
That was to try him, my manager.
Yeah, he was thinking, I'll get in his wallet, and that'll get him.
That's right. Well, that's what he was thinking. And, he didn't know he was doing more harm than good. And, it just magnified it. When all the media kept coming up to you talking, man, what's going on? What's this? If I knew, I'd fix it,
Yeah.
And I didn't know. And then when the media the fans got a hold of it, it was, man, I just want to crawl off the field. If I got found a hole, I'd have got in it. Yeah, but they loved it when I hit. When I made that, got that big hit at the end of the game or whatever. That's what I needed to hear. So I knew they still cared about it.
It makes me wonder, in the days of select baseball that's out there today, I can remember a story. Me and another coach, our team is like the next game.
Right.
And so we're kind of out in the right field down the first baseline, and we're kind of just leaning over the fence, And a ball was hit to the right fielder. And he probably was one of their weaker players, but he wasn't a bad player. He was young. He's 10 years old. He's a kid.
Right.
And he had to go into right center a little bit. And, he looked a little bit unstable, and, he's still trying to learn how to read the depth of the ball. And he did everything right except catch it, right? It just came out, it hit his glove, and he hustled and threw it in.
Right.
And the coach comes out of the dugout, and he's just undressing him, He's got his hands up, and he's screaming at the kid, hey, we got to catch it. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, man, he tried, right? He's 10.
Everything he could do.
If he would have caught it, he would have, right? And
Right.
I remember we said something like, hey, you did good,
Right.
keep hustling, whatever. But you wonder, after hearing the story, that's traumatic for that kid.
That's right. You're right.
We don't think it is. We
That's
just
right.
say, well, rub some dirt on it, you got an error, whatever. But for that kid, he's embarrassed, and you wonder if that ever takes people out of the game.
I can imagine it does. Especially kids today, I'm not knocking kids. A lot of kids are soft.
Oh, yeah.
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 They're tech savvy. They're all this. They're not rustling and tussling. There are kids still do it, but they're not out rustling and tussling in the yard. They're playing video games, eating chips and drinking Coke. They're not getting tough like we used to be.
Yeah.
We were getting mentally tough and physically tough and doing the things we had to do. We didn't play baseball all year round. We played other sports, and we got out in the woods and played and tussled and fought our way out of this or fought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not the way no more. So mentally, they're not like mentally prepared like we were to me.
I have a theory that I think each generation from a parental piece,
Right.
we get softer and softer. I'm guessing, and this is a total guess, but you growing up in Florida and the South and all, you probably had parents that didn't take a lot of crap off of you as a kid.
That's right. That switch was hard.
Yeah, mine was the same way in Texas. I mean, I learned at a real early age that any kind of talking back was painful.
That's right.
So I quit doing it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was painful. Especially when we had to get your own switch.
That's right. And I think today we've gotten away. I'm not saying, I'm not endorsing that we beat up the kids.
That's right. I know.
We get softer on them.
That's right.
Well, man, I appreciate you. I want to bring up one thing, and I don't want you to take a side here.
All right.
But something that I've wanted to bring up on every episode. This last off season, we had the Astros had a bad off season.
Right.
They got with the caught cheating with the cameras. In your opinion, how prevalent do you think that was or is around the league? Do you think it's more prevalent than we know?
I think they all do it. I think Houston just got cocky and arrogant about it.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's me personally. But I think they all got a way to cheat. I mean,
yeah,
it's people cheat the game, and it's always been that way. Not necessarily cheat trying to get edge. We're trying to get that edge.
Right.
But I just think they got arrogant and cocky about it. That's what I think happened. But I think it happens all the time.
I just remember
like Bob Gibson did an interview. I forgot where it might have been on Facebook. Somebody did an interview or something. I can't remember where I saw it. But he goes, back in your day, if you played today, would you use steroids? He goes, sure, I would, because it'd give me the edge. And we're all looking for that edge.
He said, would you use what?
He said, they asked him. He said, if you had steroids back in the day, would you use them? He says, yes, I'm looking for the edge, just like everybody else. We're all looking for that edge. It came in about time Houston was going through the stuff. And I think one of my campers down at the Mets fantasy camp showed it to me. But it was, we're all looking for edge. We steal signs. We steal them at second. You don't do it too much in the big leagues because you get drilled. But in college, we're trying to steal signs from everywhere. Coaches' boxes. We're all trying to steal stuff. But I just think Houston got cocky and arrogant with it. That's me personally. I think they all do it some way.
I just remember even, in my days playing, I remember guys taking the wood now, they don't have the grains as much. The people would
Bone it with a bottle or a bone or whatever you call it.
Yeah, they would think they could to make the grooves a little so it would grip the ball more. Exactly. Guys are doctoring the ball. And so when I heard people cheat, to me, I'm not endorsing that they use an advanced technological system, but cheating was just part of it. So to me, it wasn't illegal if you just you had to figure out ways not to let them cheat on you.
That's right. Well, I know we never cheated with a camera because it was they had cameras in center field, but I don't think technology was where it's at today.
You're right.
You think there's a camera out there everywhere.
That's right.
They're out there. So I mean, all it takes is one or two people with the technology they have now, hook up a few wires here and here and here, and you got it set up easy. I mean, I'm not tech savvy. I wouldn't know how to do it, but I just think they got cocky and arrogant with it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. And
you know, if it was me and you doing it, I'm gonna say, hey man, this is between me and you. I got this, and I'm gonna let you know, and you let me know. That's it. Don't tell nobody else.
You know, that's where I get both sides. When someone says I'm against it, okay, I get it, and then it comes saying, well, it's being blown out of proportion. The one thing that I think of is, as a hitter, and maybe this says a lot about me here, but if someone said, hey man, you're facing, you know, Dwight Gooden, do you want to know what's coming? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I really do.
I want to know exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you can figure out how to, if you know what he's telling, please let me know, because, and I think it'd be the other way. I mean, I don't know of a player who would say no, that I don't want to know, but maybe there are. Maybe there is guys out there that do that. But,
all college teams do it. It's first name, last name, however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Go with it, stay on it. You know, it's all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't have the technology in center field to do that. I mean, I've thought about saying, oh man, I could put a little camera out there. Nobody never even know I got it out. I can just sit out there right on top of the fence, you know, if I really want to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was always a hitter. I didn't want to know what was coming, because I was
the same way.
And if I knew I was going to get really aggressive, and I was already aggressive enough, I didn't really want to know really.
Yeah, I was the same way. I didn't, because I was always afraid that if somebody told me fastball and it wasn't, if I was fully committed to the fastball and they broke me one off, I'd be like, man, don't tell me anything, man. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's right. Signs in his glove. Then you know, okay, fastball, and he throws a break. I say, yeah, you really got him. I can trust you.
Yeah. I don't know if there was a great interview with I saw it on YouTube with Chipper Jones.
Right.
I don't know who their radio guy is. He does the play-by-play, you know, for Atlanta. But you know, he knew Chipper.
Chip Carey.
I think
TV or radio. Don Sutton used to do all the radio.
I think it was Carey.
Yeah, Chip Carey.
He tells him, you know, he says did you ever see this?
No, I hadn't seen it.
So they're in the locker room afterwards, and he asked Chipper Jones, or maybe they're playing golf or something. But Carey says, hey man, why do you, you know, you should take the first pitch. You know, they never throw you. You know, why do you always swing at the first pitch? I guess he liked that first pitch a lot, you know.
Right.
And Chipper says, well, you know, I don't want him. If I get a first pitch fastball, I don't want him getting ahead of me, you know. Right. And he says, yeah, but they all know that. I'm telling you, I've been kind of studying. They never throw you something good to hit early because they know that you're going to be aggressive early. And he says, you know, maybe you should try it. Just try it. And the next game, I'll send you the link, man. You got to see it.
He took
Chipper Jones is telling the story. Hey, he takes the first pitch. It's middle. I mean, it couldn't have been a better pitch. And he looks up at the box. He's like you son of a gun, man. Stay on the radio. Stay out of my game, you know.
Oh, that was good.
It's the best pitch I've had all year.
I bet that was good.
Yeah, I'll send you the link, man. It's funny. They have a good laugh about it. Mackey, I appreciate you joining it, man. I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, anytime you need anything, just let me know.
I will, man. If we ever get back on the field, man, I'll be watching and pulling for you.
I'll send you a link to all our YouTube games.
Yeah, do it. And if I get
any games live, so YouTube.
There's a lot of guys we work with here in Houston
right.
that are always looking for them. And if I see somebody that I think is qualified, I'll send them your way and let you take a look at them.
Sounds good, man. Thank you very much.
Take care of your family through all this, man. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
Bye.